Hello and welcome to the Final Fantasy VII boss battle playthrough. I'm Tim.
And I'm Chris.
And we're going to start on Disc 2.
Yeah.
So the first boss battle of Disc 2 is Chizo?
It's a Chizo.
Yeah. Whatever his name is, he's a two-headed dragon. One head is ice-based and one head is fire-based. So you can use ice attacks on the fire head and fire attacks on the ice head. Nice and simple.
The red head is fire, the other one's ice. In case the colours were a bit blinding.
Yes. As you see, the attack there took off nothing. It's a good idea to put lots of buffs on here in place. Any accessories that make you immune to fire or ice, and different characters, elemental in your defence, that sort of thing. Buff your party with Big Guard, keep on everyone defended, and it's probably a good idea to focus on one of the two heads first to take out, because it will have one head die, and then it'll just have one head left. So the two heads are two separate bosses essentially. It acts as two characters rather than one. There you go, we've got a fire defense on Cloud, making the fire damage nullified.
Yeah, Odin.
As always with bosses, good idea to use some summons to wear it down.
We'll start off with the old essentials. Old Faithfuls. If you don't know what Old Faithfuls are, it's Big Guard and Regen.
I do like the Odin summon. It comes down the spear.
It's no chocobo mug.
Quite like the sword we've got there with Zap. There's Chocobo Mog.
Yeah. Hit it.
So I think Odin's probably the best summon we've got at this stage in the game. Judgment.
Why is Odin's summon thing called like Gunge Lance?
I don't know. It just is. That's what's cool.
Oh.
This is a good one. Alexander, isn't it?
I love him.
I think this is it holy based?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the few attacks in the game which uses holy.
Go, Metroplex.
Yeah, that's pretty high damage, isn't it, on there? Compared to
Yeah.
some of the other stuff at this stage of the game. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Chocobo Mug only did about 600 each head.
Yeah. And nothing in. So we're pretty well defended at this point. I think if you put the right buffs on beforehand, I think at this point in the game, any element-based bosses can be quite easy, really, can't they? Because as long as you've got the right elemental defences and elemental attacks, you know what boss is coming up, and you prepare your party accordingly. You know, these types of bosses can be pretty straightforward.
Can you flee from a boss fight?
No, you cannot flee from boss fights. That would be ridiculous.
Well, I was thinking if you go into a boss fight, you find out what it is, then you can flee.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, the best thing to do is if you normally you have a save point right for a boss, don't you? So if you a good tactic is if you haven't played through before is to fight the boss, do a sense and check what its weaknesses are, and its attacks are like. And if you struggle with it, then obviously go back and
watch our videos.
Change all the things. Or you could watch these videos, and you'll be well prepared. But you can always go back and change your materia setup.
Well prepared to play like me. And use fire against a dragon. Speaking of dragons. Yeah. Ultimate segue.
Yes, we do like using the Bahamut. Non-elemental damage Bahamut. So it's useful on everything. It's super effective.
That's a Pokemon joke.
We're making quite good toughness quite well actually. We're not really struggling with it at all. Wearing them down. Again, having all the buffs and everything on there just makes this battle pretty easy.
Yeah, we're quite powerful as well. That move, we've got well over 2,500 health. He took off a tiny little bit, and we're instantly healed up from
By the time he attacks again, we're probably full life from the regen.
Yeah.
So I think that's one head down. So he's doing his big attack. Takes off about 500 odd.
Awesome. Yeah, magic hammer.
So now it's only got the one head left.
No. Not the really powerful move you keep doing to us. We're taking off quite a bit just in our normal attacks.
Is that the flame head you're flaming? No. I'm confused now. I thought the red head was flame and the other head was ice.
Yeah,
we just flamed the red head and it was fine.
Perhaps they don't get healing points.
Either way, he's dead. So, whatever, he's dead. Cool, well, let's move on to the next boss fight then. So it's another Genova battle. And this time, it's going to be fire-based attacks from Genova. I know the last Genova fight at the end of this one was water-based. This time it's fire. So equipped some fire resistance materia. Again, it's another good idea to use M barriers and haste and all those sort of buffs.
So big guard.
Yeah, big guard is the best thing to do in all boss fight situations. Barrier, magic barrier, and haste. All party members.
Genova will be mostly casting magic from what I remember.
I think Genova also casts some silent spells as well. So make sure you've got some echo screens up. And then make sure you're using your big summons as we are here.
Yeah.
At this point in the game we had the next level Bahamut. Neo Bahamut.
Quick, Holden, pass me your lance.
This was pretty cool. I think. This little scene. I mean, it's weird with the summons. Obviously, some of the big dramatic summons have quite long videos. Then later on in the game, just can't be bothered to summon them because it takes so long. It's like, I'd rather just hit them with a sword.
Yeah, well, especially if you're going to take off the same damage as a summon.
I mean, at the like disc 1, disc 2 sort of time, the summons are going to be taking off in the multiple thousands. That's nearly 4,000 damage compared to a normal hit, which would probably be about 1,000. So it is worth doing. But by the time you're taking off 9,999 a hit,
you may as well just
you might as well just hit it.
Have like double cut on and stuff like that.
As you can see, we've got a few people with fire defences. So again, as with the last fight, if you put the right buffs on, it's going to make things much easier on you. Know your buffs.
Heed my gunge lance.
You could always consult a buff. I don't advise you the best buffs to use.
Whoa.
How many times do you fight Genova throughout the game? I'm trying to think. Do you fight Genova on the boat?
5, honestly.
You then fight Genova at the City of the Ancients. You fight Genova here on your way to the final crater, and then I think you fight Genova at the very end of the game. So is it 4? That sounds about right.
Is there another one where you fight Genova at the end of the game as well?
I think it goes
like
Genova Birth, Genova Life, Genova Death, and then Genova Resurrection or something, or Rebirth. Because I think this is Genova Death.
Yeah, this is.
So you get the different stages of Genova. I don't really understand what the hell Genova is, do you? At the beginning, in the cutscenes, it's just a head, or doesn't Sephiroth take Genova's head? And it's just like
cells from like an asteroid that came down.
Yeah,
and they're trying to birth it to.
It's kind of like it's the calamity from the skies, isn't it? Whenever they're talking about the calamity from the skies, they're talking about Genova.
Yeah.
But when you fight it in the boss fight, it's how it looks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just weird. What the hell is it? You'd think it's not. It's weird that you can fight it because it doesn't even seem to be a character you can really interact with. Because it doesn't have any, dialogue or anything.
Yeah, it's just
like
a head.
And then I think Sephiroth leaves behind Genova cells which mutate into this thing. Because at one point I think on the boat he leaves like one of Genova's arms or something on the floor. And then it shows this thing.
It's like the same thing every time though.
Yeah, well it looks quite similar. I think the final version of Genova is different.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
But it looks different in the cutscenes than it does in the battles. And I think it's all to do with the different DNA of Genova, isn't it? Some sort of weird monstrous creature.
Like it has life in its arm, death in its right leg.
that could be an explanation, I guess.
Yes. Eat this from Metroplex. Wom wom wom.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think I'll take it back. Metroplex is my best summon, not Bahamut Zero.
Yeah, Bahamut Zero took them all though.
True, but it doesn't look as badass.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to summon like a giant metallic night city from the ground.
I think I'm trying to think what my favourite summon is. In terms of just animation, obviously the most powerful is going to be Knights of the Round.
Yeah.
Then next to that, Hades is quite good because he has this cauldron and pours, and that causes every status ailment.
That's quite
So that's
cool.
pretty cool. And then you've got Kajata, has all the different elements at once.
But who's your favourite?
I know. I think my favourites are probably things like Odin and Ifrit, like the earlier ones, just because they're, classics.
If you had to choose one though, who'd it be?
Oh, I would say probably Odin, because Odin does the kill everything on normal enemies and then does the Gunge Lance on bosses. So I'd say Odin's probably one of my favourites. But then you have Bahamut. It's
No!
I'm going to stick with Odin. Odin's pretty cool.
Who do you reckon would win in a fight? Odin or Metroplex?
I don't know, I guess Odin.
He wouldn't do the one-shot thing. And Metroplex would just he could sink back into the ground after he's between hits.
Depends if you're talking about the actual Odin as well. Who got rid of the Frost Giants?
No, this is a game.
Odin's in a lot of different games and
Films.
Films and media and stuff, isn't there? There's loads of different things with Odin in.
Alexander, not so much. What was that film named Alexander?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think we're getting into semantics now.
Back to Final Fantasy.
Have we really not done any damage on it? Or hardly any. Did it hit? Looking at the damage, the HP was still really high.
How long left on this video? Must all be this boss.
Yeah. Nice little death blow there. And another hit.
Oh,
and
yeah.
taking her down. I must have misread that HP then. I thought it was full HP. What's going on there? Right, so that's Genova down.
Dealt with.
Let's move on.
Forest. What the hell is this thing?
So this is Ultimate Weapon, the first encounter you have. This encounter with Ultimate Weapon is non-optional or happen in the story. And did you notice Zack's no longer in our party? So this is the point in the game where Zack's kind of in his comatose state.
Oh, he's wigging out.
He's wigging out indeed. Later on in the game you can choose to chase down Ultimate Weapon and defeat it. It gives you access to hidden areas and gives you Zack's Ultimate Weapon. But at this point in the game you have to just fight it long enough to stay alive. So you just need to kind of stay alive during this bit, really. Make sure you've got high hit points on you at all times because it does some pretty devastating attacks. Buff yourself, regen, whack out some summons, and hope you don't die. Is the best advice I can give you here.
He said whack some summons.
Well, you don't actually need to win, I don't think. You just need to survive it, and eventually it moves away.
Yeah, Lunatic High we cast earlier didn't work because we already had Big Guard on.
Ah, yeah, Lunatic High costs haste, so it's the haste pass that's missing. I think the defense still goes on though. Increase your defense.
Oh, okay.
So as you can see, we're just keeping the characters alive with regen and then just bombarding it with summons. And it shouldn't take too long for it to get to tire of us and move on.
All your silly Pokemon tropes are boring me. Ultimate Weapon, away!
So that was pretty good, 3,000. And Tetra Disaster. Yeah, you can see this one was like, we don't want to fight it, you fight it for us.
I like this one. Fun how this one looks. Oh damn.
It'd be good if it took it off in stages, so it did like the ice damage came off, fire damage comes off.
Yeah.
Or Ultima Beam. That sounds healthy.
Ouch.
Again, with the M barrier, that's defended it quite a lot. I think without it, we would have taken serious damage there.
Yeah, Dine would have died.
Or Grenade Bomb with Dine's better limit breaks.
Eat my mini grenade.
I think if you can manage to get through having Mind Blow, after Mind Blow, all of Dying's limit breaks pretty good.
Yeah. Is Mind Blow that really amazing one that does like 9999 damage?
No. Mind Blow's that one that takes off a bit of MP.
Just a little bit.
I think Satellite Beam's really good. And then when it
I like the look
shows,
of Satellite Beam.
It goes all red, and then you see like the beams come down from the sky. We actually did use Odin a lot, didn't we? In all these boss fights, there's a lot of Odin usage.
Sure, it's whenever you're playing, you use Odin every single time.
Yeah, Odin, get Odin out.
Chocobo.
There you go. He's had enough. I think he's just getting bored. We have no importance to ultimate weapon.
I leave your mortals.
They'll celebrate anyway. We'll take a win when we can. Right, next up, it's the carrier armor. This is when you're actually... It's another Shinra robot. So, Scorpion Guard, the Airbuster, and now the carrier armor. I think this is the bit where you're about to go on the submarine.
Oh.
And you're about to face Reno again, and he runs off and leaves you to face carrier armor.
So, like most Shinra bosses and foes.
Oh, at this point in the game we had Omnislash. Zack's ultimate move. We should make quick work of this.
Yeah, as I was saying, most Shinra bosses and mobs, this one is also immune to lightning damage. I think he'll grab one of you with his arms as well to make them inactive.
This is before we'd learnt the mime trick, isn't it? Because we could have done the mime trick. For those of you that don't know, when you do a limit break and then use mime, if the person miming it isn't the character that's done it, it'll say, oh, unable to mimic. So, for example, Zack does Omnislash, Dying wouldn't be able to mimic Omnislash. However, Zack can. So as long as you don't do anything with the other two, you can just keep miming your limit breaks, which is something we didn't discover until later on in the game.
Much later on. It's like
much later on, yeah, right at the end. Is when we're fighting the weapons. So as you see, at this point we have got Omnislash, we've got Mime, and we've got Knights of the Round. So at this point in the game, we've gone off and done the Chocobo breeding guide. You can get the Chocobo breeding guide on our channel, where we'll explain what you need to do to get the
golden Chocobo.
Yeah, the golden Chocobo, which will allow you to get around anywhere on the map. But you may have to sin against nature to do so. More details in the Chocobo guide.
Oh, so much sin.
Now this is just a ridiculous move, isn't it? I mean, I think it's 12 hits, isn't it? There's 12 knights.
Yeah, 12 hits.
Each one hits it, and obviously, as you see at this point, each one is around 4,000 to 5,000 damage.
I think the first hit would have killed him. Now the rest is just overkill.
Yeah, I think we went for doing the Chocobo guide and getting Knights of the Round as soon as we got access to the High Wind. You can leave this until Disc 3 if you want, but having Knights of the Round at this stage of the game will make a lot of the boss battles just that much easier for you. Having in trouble, summon Knights of the Round, done.
Especially as you can do it multiple times as well, which will be fun.
And you can mine Knights of the Round if you've got the Knight Mine material.
True, yeah.
I actually think Mine material is probably my favourite piece of material, because it doesn't cost anything to do, it's a command, and you can mime the most powerful attacks as easily as a normal one. So.
As easy as pressing a button to say mime.
So it's pretty useful. Anyway, we made short work of that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next battle. Okay, so we're back at Rocket Town by the looks of it, and we're fighting Rude and a couple of soldiers. I'd recommend just taking out the soldiers quickly, and then focusing on Rude afterwards.
Outside that old man's house again. Do you reckon he's put it up for sale yet?
What?
The old man died.
Old man that died?
The one we beat up earlier.
Oh, in Palmer?
Yeah, Palmer.
He doesn't live in Rocket Town.
It looks like his house.
It's not his house.
He's attacking the exact same background.
Yeah, it is. It's the same place, but it's not his house. It's not Palmer's house.
Why not?
Well, because he doesn't live in Rocket Town. They were there to steal the tiny Bronco.
So he just chose someone's house to fight outside?
Yes. That's where we just happened to see him. He's trying to steal the tiny Bronco. Oh. Anyway. Rude's dead. We're fighting Ultra Weapon. Sorry, not Ultra Weapon. This is Diamond Weapon. So as you can see, using Terra Flare, using some more big summons. I believe this is Bahamut 0, so this is after you've got the final Bahamut summon.
Ooh.
This is another cool one. Again, it's another one of those summons with like quite a long-winded animation, so it's worth doing for the damage. But again, it would be nice if you could have shortened cutscenes for these.
Yeah, or the ability to skip after you've seen it once.
Yeah, you can actually do that in Final Fantasy X.
Oh really?
Yeah, if you go into settings, you've got summon sequences shortened on. So when you first get them, you can watch their full summon sequence, and then after you've seen it once, you can change it to be shortened. And you don't have to; they just pop up straight away. You don't have to wait to watch them appear. That was actually fine from space.
Dragons in space.
Now they need to be really accurate to be able to hit one item from outside of the atmosphere. That's crazy stuff.
And the beam's pretty small as well.
And time weapon.
Yeah.
Again, recommend using all the buffs and haste. Say that pretty much every fight, so it becomes a bit redundant at this point.
But necessary.
I would recommend having someone dedicated to healing for this fight, because it will be doing lots of high damage. So just be careful of any special attacks it might do. Some of those attacks can do really high damage.
Do we just mine this?
Yeah. That's a good use of mine. It's good to use things like Comet and Ultima here as well, any high damage magic you've got. In fact, don't bother using any physical attacks. It's really resistant to physical attacks, so just keep using magic. Just keep doing all this sort of stuff.
I wonder who we chose for Akira. I think it was Nanaki. Come on, Beam, don't miss, don't miss. Yeah, every time.
I think it was in Final Fantasy VIII. There's a thing with the summons there where you could get boosts, and you would have to button bash square, and it would build up the boost. There'd be like a little number on the screen. And you go bash, 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 like keep tapping the square to build up the number. But if it would get to certain points, we'd have a symbol over the finger to button bash square, and if you press square while that symbol was on, it would reduce the boost back down to 0. So you had to like watch it really closely.
Oh.
Go, tap, 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 stop. Tap, 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 stop. You have to keep doing that, and obviously if you don't reduce it back to 0 and you tap very high, it increases how much damage the summon takes off.
Ah, will it go past max?
I don't know what the max is. It's been a while since I played 8. 8's different than the others. It's quite good in places though. For example, the junctioning system was very different. The thing I didn't like about it was better off to keep your magic in your inventory and actually use it.
Oh, really?
You would junction things based on the summons you had. So a summon would be associated to a character, and then you would be able the skills the summon would learn would be like junction strength, junction defense.
Oh,
so
okay.
you could put, say, fire junction to your strength, and if you had 100 fire junction to your strength, that would be better than say having 80 fire junction to your strength. So whenever you were casting your magic, you were in effect making your character weaker. So you would be sacrificing your skill, but you could just draw more magic on it. So it made sense to just get 100 of something and then just keep it, and then just do normal hits. So it was a good system for developing your characters and coming up with different combinations. But then the actual resulting battles would be pretty dull. It would be a case of everyone would just be hitting normally.
Yeah, that's true. Just had a good use of White Wind there, healing up areas in Nanaki. I think White Wind's my favourite healing materia.
Do you mean enemy skill?
Yeah, I know it's an enemy skill, but like healing spell in general.
Yeah. Because what is the actual difference for White Wind? It cures you by however much your current health is. Is that right? But then it also gets rid of
All status elements.
all status elements, yeah.
Yeah. No, diamond flash. Stop flashing your diamonds at us. Oh,
That's pretty bad.
we didn't have big guard up.
You see, you've got a few physical hits there doing nothing. Got a couple of limit breaks. I wonder if the limit breaks will do much. I think the only character we haven't got in any of these videos is Kate Sith. Never used Kate Sith at all. He doesn't have an ultimate limit break, which is weird. And he's just generally a rubbish character. He's not very good in the story. You know.
I hate you so much, Kate Sith.
Oh, a bit late on why we went there, Nanaki's drop dead. Oh, Phoenix though.
Yeah.
So Phoenix. At this point in the game, we've got the Phoenix on. That we forgot about Phoenix during our summon debate. Phoenix is a must-have for the later bosses, I think, if you have him with final attack. As you'll see from this demonstration, not only does it do high fire damage on the enemy, Phoenix will also revive with full health anyone that's died. So if you have final attack and Phoenix and everyone dies, you get everyone back at full life. So often it only has so many uses before you can't do it again, and you need to have the magic available in your MP.
True. Yeah, there's been many times where we fought, like say this boss and Emerald Weapon and stuff, and everyone died and we didn't have enough MP to final attack and summon Phoenix. That was a pain.
Stole Rising Sun.
Yeah.
Go on, do the big attack. Hit. Ooh.
Oh, we missed one.
It was just this is whack. Oh, it's probably going to be Omnislash to death anyway. Let's be fair. Omnislash, go! How many hits is Omnislash? It's about 15, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I know it's more than Knights of the Round. I think it's 15.
I think about 15 hits, something like that. Oh.
Is he dead?
I think he might be. Either that
No.
or he's doing. No, yeah, he's hurt.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's him done. Cool. So this is the section of the game where you're back in Midgar. It's the final confrontation with the Turks. You can actually choose not to have this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you talk to them, they're like, because the Turks are basically like, oh, we're only here to work, and like Shinra is basically completely fallen down at this point in the game, and you can decide to not fight them and just let them walk off. And I suppose there is a bit in Watai when you team up with Reno and Rude to help save Yuffie and Elena, don't you? So
oh yeah.
there is kind of like a bit of a mutual respect between the Turks and the team, I think, to some extent. But at the same time, the Turks are responsible for killing everyone in the Sector 7 slums. So I think that it's in terms of the story, I would always fight the Turks really, because they killed Jesse Biggs and Wedge.
True. One awesome thing I think about this is, unlike most bosses, you can steal from these guys. They'll give you something pretty cool.
See, unlike most bosses, we stole from Diamond
True.
just now.
Apart from that one as well.
Yeah. I think you get some good stuff. You get, is it Zyderich? Or Zyderich, just like a armour, piece of armour you can use. Yeah, and it's really good armour actually, isn't it? It's really high. I think it's one. Yeah, there you go. We just stole one there. If I recall, it's the piece of armour that has no slots on it, but really high defence. So when you fight the later bosses, your ultimate weapons will have the best attack, and then just full slots of dual. And at that point, you don't need a lot of materia really. You're just going to be using your buffs and your added effects and things. And generally, you're going to have things like double cut, death blow, mime. You're not really going to be relying on anything like ice or fire or anything like that.
You want to try and focus on Lena first?
Yeah, I think so. I think because she casts Confusion, which can be a bit annoying.
Yeah.
Best to just get. The thing is, because you can get summoned in all attacks, you can just hit everyone. But if you're doing one at a time, it's probably best to do Elena, then Rude, then
Hilda.
Oh, I missed. I'm sure there's a bit in the game, I think we mentioned this in one of the previous videos, where Rude mentions that Reno's got a new weapon that he wants to use on you, and he's still fighting with a stick, so it's like, well, what weapon are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, she's stepped back. Well, we might be able to see Ares' limit break actually looking quite sensible for a change, because normally she does like slams and moves on like massive monsters.
Oh, still those meteors in the underground tunnels. Come on, Yeah.
So we've got a Meteor with Quadrat there. This is casting the mirror, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. That's an example of the Quadrat move.
You know, I've always been telling people, watch out for those meteors in the underground tunnels.
Yeah, you know, if you're getting the underground around London, look out for meteors. Underground. Water kick. It's interesting to see the actual. There you go, meteor drive. I think it's just that one, isn't it? It's watching the meteor drive on the giant monster that just looks stupid. That's pretty cool, that. Right.
Let's call it a day.
Are they all actually going off at once? No, yeah, they're all going.
Gonna sort her hair out first. Ciao!
So none of those characters actually get killed in this game. Okay, and the next boss battle here we have the Proud Clod.
Yeah.
And this is basically Shinra's answer to weapon. So it's very similar in look and style to the weapon bosses. But it's the final sort of Shinra military robot fight you get throughout the game, of which there are a few. And this is essentially the fall of Shinra, because you get Rufus supposedly died in that cutscene. When weapon attacks, the Turks have disbanded. That they've run off. This is Heidegger and Scarlet controlling this machine. Obviously Palmer was hit by that truck, and there's not a lot of Shinra left really now, so this is kind of like the final confrontation with Shinra.
Yeah, their last desperate attempt to try and kill us.
Yeah, and they think that this robot's going to be matched for weapon, and it really isn't. Weapon's
No.
going to be much harder. It's got some interesting elements to this fight though. It's got two parts, the armour and body. Best take out the armour first. It can cast Reflect on you, which is an unusual thing. Not a lot of bosses would do that sort of thing. Normally it's Reflect and cast on yourself. But obviously the only downside to having Reflect on you is you can't use healing magic. So be careful that when it's cast Reflect on you, you don't then cast Regen and it will reflect off you and cast Regen on it. So look out for that, because that can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah. I think you'll do more damage to the body as well if you take out his armour first. I think it looks like the only thing that we can attack is his armour. Like it's not hitting multiple different things.
It's got two stages, I think, essentially. I think it does do like a big beam attack as well. But you should get plenty of warning. And if, like us, you have knights of the round, always a good idea to get out at this point on the big boss fights.
Do you reckon they take him down to hell?
I don't know. Well, this is a weird one, and all the other summons we have been mentioning, they phase through walls or ignore ceilings and things like that. But Knights Around, it kind of looks like they go through a portal and then they're in a place, and then they just do their thing.
Yeah, another dimension.
Oh, there you go. It is actually hitting two places, though.
Oh yeah.
There is two. So you can attack the main body and the armour separately. So we recommend getting rid of the armour first.
Meteor wasn't doing that though.
Well, it might have been, obviously, because it's coming off of different places. It does. Each meteor hits one thing at a time, doesn't it? So.
Yeah.
There's the meteor one. Have you got a particular favourite out of the Knights of the Round?
Oh gosh. See, that dude's quite cool. Just got his giant axe. It's probably the last dude actually, the one with the cloak.
Yeah, right at the end.
Yeah.
Probably the one that's spinning around the big staff that goes through them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this guy, he's like dun dun dun.
I suppose it's something quite final about as well, as it's the last one.
Yeah.
One big sort of a bit more dramatic.
You die now.
Yeah, and then obviously it
destroys the entire
it's got a thing there
dimension.
that then sends it back to the real world.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a more sensible animation, really. Oh, that's taken him out. That's him done.
Wow.
So maybe we should have just gone straight in with Knights of the Round.
True.
There you go. So the final boss battle of Disc 2 is your encounter with Hojo. It's a very dramatic end. So yeah, actually, I suppose Hojo is the final boss fight of Shinra, really, isn't it?
True.
Although at this point he's kind of left Shinra and is kind of acting alone.
Crazy bastard.
He creates a couple of monstrous allies. I mean, I actually really enjoy this boss fight. It's quite clever. Obviously, Hojo's a very good character throughout the game, and also in some of the backstory too. But this guy, he's got 3 forms. So the first form is the easiest form to fight. He just does normal attacks, and he has like the little monsters with him that he summons. If you kill them, they will come back. So it's probably best just to focus on Hojo or do all attacks that hit everyone. He'll then transform. Presumably after we've done that round, he'll transform straight away. And he's sort of a weird, monstrous thing with a big arm, and you can destroy different parts of him. And then the third form, he looks like some sort of weird alien bee freezer thing.
A weird alien bee freezer.
Yeah. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's kill the first form first. But yeah, essentially, the overkill wouldn't count on this. So, say for example, this Knights of the Round was enough damage to kill all 3 forms. It's not going to work that way. It's going to kill him, and then he'll transform
and gain his full health from his second form.
And then the next form he'll have full health for that form. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, the whole sort of fall of Shinra is at the end of Disc 2, and then the Disc 3 boss fights are pretty much just finishing off the weapons and then tackling Genova and Sephiroth.
Yeah. So it's like 4 bosses essentially. And the story.
Yeah. There you go. And he said,
now let's see how the Mako juice is reacting.
Yeah, so essentially, before the fight, he explains that he's been testing on himself with Genova cells. And these are the results. Some weird, monstrous guy with a big face and a big hand.
It's like constantly screaming.
I suppose it kind of looks a little bit like Genova in a way, isn't it? If you think about what Genova looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, his hands especially. This is horrible. If I was any of those 3, I'd be crapping my pants. Like, what the fuck? Get out of here!
First, he survived Knights of the Round. Knights of the Round. It's like, what?
It's like, yeah, we killed him. This is horrible. Now he's screaming. Oh, you take down one of his arms.
Yeah, you can take his arm. I think his arm grows back.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, but I think it's best to keep if you get rid of his arm, and if it comes back, get rid of it again.
Oh.
But yeah, we'll keep coming back.
Is it just both of his arms you can take out? Or can you take out like his
no,
stump?
I think there's. Oh no, I think you can take the other one as well. I think it's 2 separate. Yeah, there's 2 separate bits.
Ah, awesome. Oh god, that guy's horrible. I can't imagine what his like sounds would be. I mean, yeah, the sounds in the game, but like
no, it doesn't actually say anything. Does it?
No.
Yeah, so I think you can. If you take out the other arm, does he not like flop on the floor like some really sad? Then it's just cruel.
Just like a sad monster.
But I might be wrong thinking that the arms grow back. I think you take out the arms and then he just like can't move.
Possibly.
And then you finish him off, but then he comes back as the third form.
Yeah. It might be if like he doesn't take damage for a certain amount of time, he grows back. But we're just like constantly waiting and throwing meteors in his stupid face.
Obviously at this point we still got Meteor with Quadra, so we're doing four things at a time.
Do you reckon at this point Hojo knows he will transform into that?
No, because he just says, "Oh, I'm excited about seeing the results," or something. Doesn't he say this is the first time he's used it?
True.
So he might feel like he regrets it a bit at this point.
If he can feel that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, he destroyed the.
He's like flopped.
He's just put him out of his misery. He's like, he's hugging himself.
Oh, he's using his.
What? So yeah, that's a bit unusual. But then you think he's dead? No. His final form.
Oh.
There he is.
Oh,
See
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Bee freezer.
Yeah, bee freezer. I don't know how else to describe that. He's got like a big tentacle coming out like the back of his head, and he's got a stinger. It's just weird, but yeah, it's pretty difficult actually. So this is his hardest form. It's quite fast, uses lots of different status elements. So get things ready that will get rid of the status elements that you might put on. At this point in the game, you might have a ribbon or two, so definitely use ribbons if you can. At this point, obviously, we're busting out some more summons.
Yeah, I think just spamming summons at this point, just going, no, I don't want no bees! Just to try and kill him.
Freezer.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Bees and Freezer from Dragon Ball Z.
And the fact that we stand around and wait for him to transform into a more powerful form is quite Dragon Ball Z-esque as well.
True. Although he like completely disappeared and then just appeared out of nowhere.
Yes. Again, it'd be interesting to see what this looks like in like the remastered
HD
version.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think. What do you reckon the conversation was when like Mutant Hojo disappeared? Do you reckon like Ares and Zack kind of turned around going, yeah, like, I really fancy some pizza, and then Diamond was like, Bee freezer behind you?
I don't think their first thoughts after killing Hojo would be. In fact, speaking of pizza, I don't think they ever eat throughout the whole game.
Really?
When do you eat? There's that one bit in the Wall Market when you have like the special, and then you never ever eat. You sleep, but you never eat, and you never go to the toilet.
That's probably why it's special.
Perhaps they get up to go to the toilet in the middle of the night when you sleep.
And eat at the same time. That is horrible.
Let's move on.
And they do like ethers and
think about
stuff
that.
count as like milkshakes?
I guess.
And fill you up?
You might have potion milkshakes.
Oh.
So you don't really get a lot of stuff like that. There are some. There's one game where I had. I can't remember what it's called now. But you would get recipes for food, and you would actually go to, when you stopped at camp to sleep. You could use recipes you'd found to make different meals, and then the meals would have different effects on you. So you would have like increased attack for the rest of the day, and increased defense for the rest of the day, and stuff. But obviously, yeah, a lot of games don't really incorporate eating food. And Hojo is dead.
Yeah.
So, I hope you've enjoyed this boss battle playthrough. Please join us in the last video for the boss battles in Disc 3.
Awesome!